Welcome back to the Something in the Wilderness podcast. My name's Steve, and in each episode of this show, we choose an Andrew McMahon song to discuss, in hopes we can learn more about the music, connect with other fans, and have fun doing it. Lately, we've had a lot of guests on the show, and although I have several potential guests waiting for a recording date coming up, I decided to take this episode on myself. I'm going to call this one a You Snooze, You Lose. I totally stole that from one of my other favorite podcasts, One Hit Thunder. The idea is that I've had the notes for this episode written for years, maybe a year, maybe two, and the guest who originally picked this song decided not to come on after all, which is fine. So I offered this song to several other potential guests, but they chose other songs instead, so I didn't really want to pin this song on somebody. I'd rather guests come to chat about the song that they have a particular connection with, so it's all fair. I just didn't find someone with a particular connection to this particular song, so just a quick peek behind the curtain for you there. A few years ago, my family and I were having dinner at a cheesecake factory. I do love some Cheesecake Factory, particularly the cheesecake itself. So while we're sitting there, eating dinner, this song I'm talking about came on. To be honest, it sounded incredibly familiar, but it did take me a little bit of time to figure out which song it was. Hearing it out of context did throw me a bit. I just didn't expect to hear it in that environment, honestly. I think I had to wait for the chorus even to sing it in my head to realize what I was hearing. Most every song on this album has this nostalgic familiarity to it for me. I've mentioned this before here, but I think it has to do with some production decisions that I love about this album, but also probably lyrically as well. Today we're diving into a track from 10.5 years ago called Driving Through a Dream. It's never been a super standout track for me on this album, and apparently not for a lot of other fans either, but I enjoy it a lot and it fits really well as a mid-album track. I never skip this one. The band is Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness. The song, Driving Through a Dream, is track 7 on the self-titled Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness album released on October 14th, 2014. Let's just clarify the title of the song. When I hear these similar sounding titles, I have to remind myself about which is which, which title goes with the sound of which song. There is a song on Zombies on Broadway called Walking in My Sleep. Not very similar, but that's not to be confused with a cover song that Andrew did by Empire of the Sun called Walking on a Dream. So when I think of this song, I imagine a car driving through the sky. And I guess I kind of conflate those three titles together, Walking on a Dream, Walking in My Sleep, and Driving Through a Dream. So a few years ago, my daughter ordered this huge pack of stickers on Amazon. It was a bunch of random artwork on these stickers, but one of them was of a car driving through the sky. And when I saw that sticker, I thought, that's exactly what I imagine when I hear this song. The Wilderness self-titled album was recorded between 2013 and 2014, and recently Andrew celebrated the 10-year anniversary of the album with a special performance at the Troubadour in Los Angeles in December. Somehow he managed to fit that in between the Something corporate run and the Holiday from Real cruise, and then during the preparation for the Jack's Mannequin tour rollout at the beginning of this year. So as we all know, it's the year of Jack's Mannequin. A lot of us have had the opportunity to see shows by now, and it may seem odd that I'm choosing this song by The Wilderness at this moment in time in the summer of 2025. But in a 2014 HuffPost interview, Andrew was asked whether he feels there's a separation between his work in Jack's Mannequin and what he started in The Wilderness. His response was this: "There's a linear thing, but there are also very distinct stopgaps for me where my life shifted, my world shifted, my creativity shifted. I think a lot of the reason why I changed my project's heading a couple of times, because those other names stopped meaning the same thing to me, I felt like there needed to be a delineation because I already felt it. Obviously, it's early in this phase of things, and I'm super excited about digging into the next round and seeing what it becomes from there. But it definitely felt on this side. Though I could hear the through lines in this songwriting, the sound of this album does feel different than Jack's Mannequin to me. Although just having experienced a Jack's Mannequin show recently, I don't think this song in particular is too terribly far off from Jack's Mannequin. In fact, it could have been placed in the set somewhere, and if I didn't know the difference between Jack's and Wilderness, I may not have noticed. It could have fit right in with songs off of People and Things. Driving Through a Dream was produced by Andrew McMahon, Mike Viola, and James Flanagan. The players on this track include Andrew on piano and vocals, additional keyboards by James Flanagan and Andrew McMahon, bass by Mike Viola, and programming by James Flanagan, Mike Viola, and Jake Sinclair. According to Setlist FM, this song's been played only 29 times in concert, the last of which, of course, was at the Troubadour show in December 2024. Prior to that, over 8 years earlier. 8 years without Driving Through a Dream being performed live. That means within 2 years of the song's release, it was basically retired from the live show. Now, I wonder if there's a specific reason that happens. Maybe some of you will see its fateful return at Red Rocks next month. Or maybe I'll get lucky and hear it on the cruise next year. I had to think about whether I've ever heard this song live before. And my best bet is no. But I did look it up anyway. I only saw one Wilderness show in those early years, unfortunately, and it was a short festival set up in Michigan opening for Weezer and Panic at the Disco. Excellent lineup, excellent show overall. And I just realized while I'm saying this that those 3 bands are all at When We Were Young Fest this fall as well. Lucky for the people who get to attend. That won't be me, unfortunately. But anyway, getting back to that show in 2014 with Panic and Weezer and Andrew, I wasn't getting to many shows at all in 2014. I also just learned that Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness played a show in Cleveland and in Cincinnati within a month of the self-titled album coming out, and this song was played at both of them. So I guess I should have seen it if I was going to shows that year like I do now, but my daughters were too young and our finances weren't quite what they are now, so it just wasn't in the budget. We didn't really have a concert budget during that time. It just wasn't feasible for us. So checking out my concert archives now, I went to exactly 5 concerts that year in 2014 and only 1 in 2013, if you can believe that. None of which were Andrew McMahon shows, by the way. Ironically, I did go to 2 shows in November 2014, the same month as the Ohio Andrew shows, and that just goes to show I wasn't traveling for concerts at the time. I was only going to Columbus area shows. Except for that one in Michigan in 2015 where I saw Andrew, Panic, and Weezer, apparently. A little bit on songwriting. The song was co-written by Andrew and Mike Viola, one of the guys that helped produce the album. In the HuffPost article I referenced earlier, Andrew was asked for his favorite song from the album when it came out. And I bet you can guess what he picked, because that's why we're here today. He said that Driving Through a Dream is appearing to be a fan favorite, but that's not why he would pick that one. He said he loves the way it sounds and he loves the production. Now, side note, I will say it does seem over the years that he's had a different answer on this question, but in that moment, he did say Driving Through a Dream was his favorite. There is a video of the band playing this live from 2015 that I'll link in the show notes. Andrew explains what he was thinking about when he wrote the song. The technical sound quality isn't the best, but I like his description of the song at the beginning. He talks about waking up in the middle of the night with this list of things that you have to do in the morning when you wake up. But he said, this song is instead about driving through the desert with a woman and just forgetting that list of all the things that need to be done, carefree. I like that. In another video, he mentions the idea of looking back and reflecting on how he did things, but that it's also about getting through the hard stuff so you can get to the sweet stuff. Apparently like driving through the desert with a good woman. In that Huffington Post article I mentioned earlier, Andrew had this to say. It started out as a psychedelic thing. We were floating up these strange lyrics, and eventually I brought it back down to earth. Part of it came from this thing where I was spending some time away from home, doing some work, and my wife made this comment about how she sleeps better when I'm there, and I'm awake. And I thought, there was something kind of beautiful about that. Usually if I'm awake, it means that I'm up worrying about something. So it sort of played into this idea of when you get up in the middle of the night and you have this laundry list of things you're worried about, and immediately for me, all I want to do is just get in the car and get out of town. Like most of my songs, it was this escape thing. Like, go drive to the desert, try and put it all on the other side of the car door, top down, wind in the hair, just there. That was the visual for me going into that song. So that quote gives a lot more detail. Now about the sound of the song, I mentioned earlier that I love the production on this album, particularly the song too. The piano just sounds so crisp. In my opinion, the production on this album, maybe this is a hot take, but the production on this album is unmatched to any other Wilderness album. I think it's perfect. This song is primary evidence of it. I know a lot of the instrument sounds are programmed on the album, but I hear piano, I hear keyboards, I hear drums, but probably electronic program drums. Also, a xylophone during the chorus. Now that part is such a subtle thing, and I may have that wrong, but when you listen in headphones, it's much more clear, so give it a shot. From a hiddenjams.com review after the album came out, Driving Through a Dream returns to the desert night setting first introduced in Canyon Moon, but instead of a haunting vibe, this song is like a gentle lullaby. It has a childlike innocence and a foggy, dreamy feeling. It sounds perfect for Andrew's young daughter. Now, I've referenced this next point often on the podcast when I reference songs from this album, But the sound of this album is like the sound of pop radio from my childhood. Everything right up to the backing vocals. The little piano noodles toward the end of the song in the last chorus also give me chills. Now, regarding lyrics, I have to admit, I wasn't that familiar with these lyrics before I read through them. There are a few that have popped out at me each time I listen to it, but I hadn't ever really listened to every word of the song, nor read through the lyrics before. But here are some lyrics that have always jumped out at me. Clinging to your late-night courage, anything to pass the time, lying in the back seat, trying not to fall apart, waiting for your life to start. These feel like such sad lyrics to me. I imagine the late-night courage is alcohol, and I picture someone after an emotional night of drinking being driven home and just feeling really reflective and maybe regretful of where they stand in the moment of their lives and thinking about where they're going next. I gotta say, I've related to these lines harder than I care to admit a few times in my life. In fact, I hate how hard I've related to these lyrics. And then during the bridge, you say you sleep better when I'm awake, I'll stay awake for you. Kind of brings out what I see to be a sad, somber song back around to being hopeful. As in, like, you know you have someone who cares about you, someone you can always count on, someone you can get through it together with. My favorite part of the song is those piano melodies toward the end. You might call it a piano solo, but to me it just seems like some really creative additions to the song toward the end. And it really makes me feel the music. So I don't know if you'd call that the outro or whatever. Again, the solo. I'm usually more of a lyrics person, and I do like some of the lyrics in here, but that piece grabs my attention the most in this song. Now, I do want to point out that there's a fan-made music video out there. It looks pretty professional. I think it captures a lot of the spirit and the sound of the song. I intentionally didn't think about the lyrics when I watched the video because I just wanted to focus on how the video worked with the sound of the song, with the music itself. But someone put a lot of work into this. The YouTube channel is called December Hotel, and it looks like they make other videos for other artists as well. I don't know, maybe they would like to shoot music videos for artists and they're just trying to build up a portfolio. That's my best guess, using the channel as a promotion tool. But I would recommend checking it out. It's pretty good. It's obviously not an Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness sanctioned video, but it's a pretty good fan-made video. It's pretty high quality. So in closing, after diving more into the song, I did forget how much I appreciate it. I'd call it a deep cut in the way it's an album track that doesn't get a whole lot of love from fans or in the live show. It doesn't typically pop in my playlist, but when I go back and listen to it, it's a nice surprise. Like, oh yeah, I forgot about this other great song. Thank you all again for listening. I wanted to keep this one brief. I know it's summer and we should all be outside enjoying ourselves, so hopefully you're walking the dog or taking a jog or driving around to your next great adventure while you're listening to this. Jack's Mannequin Summer is not over yet. Red Rocks is coming up in a month, and I hope everybody has a great time there. I am hoping to bring some guests on the show for a recap. I've got some lined up, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then a lot of us will be looking forward to Jack's Mannequin 2025 continuing in the fall. As always, if you wouldn't mind rating the show online, it would help more people find it. I just love being part of this community. Also, speaking of community, post a comment on Instagram. I'd love to hear the feedback, or feel free to send me a message directly. You can also email somethinginthewilderness@gmail.com if you want to be a future guest. Now try to get some sleep. We'll be driving through a dream.